the step to the graduation. So the step one is you need to find your advisor. So once you find the advisor, you can submit the advisor confirmation form to the IMES office. And this form you can download it from the IMES homepage. Okay, so step two, once you submit that form, you can log into your NCCU account. Go to this place, and then you can type your thesis title and your advisor's name on that page. And once you've done that part, just email to the IMES office so I can confirm it from the school system. And then step three, okay, once you meet the course requirement, it means if you want to apply for the thesis defense last semesters, you have to make sure in the end of that semester you will get 33 credits, including the courses that you are taking that semester. Okay, and then pass the research ethics course, and then upload your thesis to these systems. So if you want to get the Turnitin account, you can just email to the IMES, and I will send you the link. And then once you get the advisor say that you can apply for the oral defense, you can submit the document to the IMES office. And the deadline for the fall semester is December 15th, and the deadline for the spring semester is May 31st. So for this checklist, you can download it from the IMES homepage. Okay, so you just need to write down the courses that you already take and you are taking that semester. And then for this part, you just ask your advisor to sign on this paper. And the degree examination application form, you can download it from your INCCU account. And then you have to send your thesis draft in PDF to the IMES office. Okay, and once you decided the date, your oral defense date, please just send the email to the IMES office at least 2 weeks before your defense date. And you have to send your thesis draft to your committee 1 week before your defense date. Okay, so I will tell you the location of your defense and then send the invitation letter to your committee. Okay, and then after the final defense, you have finished revising your thesis, and your advisor say that you can graduate, then you have to submit 1 copy of your thesis in final version to the IMES office. This is the deadline. Okay, and then after that, you can upload your thesis to the INCCU library and print out the document, and then print the school living form from the INCCU account, and submit totally 3 copies of your thesis to school, and then you can graduate. Okay. So this is some course requirements. So the totally you have to take required courses, 3 required courses, and 8 elective courses. And you can take up to 3 courses from the other department taught in English. But if you take the courses from the IMES or IDAS course, you can up to 4 courses. And students can also take courses that taught in Chinese, but you have to get the permission from the IMES director in advance. Okay, so, and there's no proposal defense for the IMES students. And, okay, so this is about who can be your advisor, and this is your defense committee at the should be 3 to 5 members, and including your advisor. And the external committee members account for no less than 1/3. So if you have the 3 committee members, at least 1 should be external committee member. for this information about the deadline and some information, you can check it from the IMES homepage, and I will also send you the email to remind you about the deadline. Okay. Yeah. And you can just download the form from the IMES homepage. Yes.
These links will be there in the IMES website as well. I think it's under academic and
Yes.
graduation guidelines as well in the website. I have something more to add a little bit on this part because we have a lot of foreign students. I heard that it's very important to be careful about the visa because once you have fill the form like school leaving form and you have officially graduated, you will have issue with the student visa. You have to make sure that you change your visa into job seeking visa. And we are still not 100% sure about what is the time frame that is needed between that time. So maybe you can ask OIC for that. But if we have information from the OIC, we'll tell you there.
It's not just the ERC, it's your student visa. If you're not a student anymore, it runs out very, very fast. So if you want to stay in Taiwan, you have to switch automatically. Right away, you have to apply to have a job-seeking visa so you can stay in Taiwan for the ERC visa.
I'm not sure about that, but it can be 1 week.
Yeah, it's a very short period.
2 weeks.
2 weeks?
2 weeks. They ask you the diploma, and that's it. If you have the same address, you just take your NCCU degree to the immigration office, and one day and the next day they already have it. Yeah, have it, but sometimes can be delayed, and they say come back next week or something like that to pick up the new ID card. Yeah.
And with this, you can stay in Taiwan for 6 months?
They give me 1 year.
1 year.
Yeah, I think it's for the university because I heard for others it's just 6 months. Yeah.
We have to do some more research about the visa situation. So yeah, be very careful when you finish your school leaving form. Okay, and one more thing. Many students are asking about the defense committee. Do we have to contact them by ourselves or not? And first, say that your advisor will help you in that process. Oh, Jack will help you with that. Jack will tell you more about it later. And this is the scores of the defense. I think I deleted something from but there are more information on the website. It's about if you failed the second time, you cannot redo it again. So go to the website, IMES website, and read all the very detailed guidance about the thesis.
We will send you this PowerPoint.
Okay. So now the next part, please give me a round of applause.
And so let me just finish 2 things. The first one is for the second year students, because you are writing your thesis, and then so you are thinking how to finish your thesis and then how to proceed your oral defense. So firstly, you have to be friendly to your advisor. I mean, you have to keep the good relationship with your advisor because he can decide your future. And so basically, we don't have the proposal defense. So I canceled it when I became the director. Before I was a director, we had the proposal defense just like IMES. But that was a kind of another process you have to have. But I think for us, we just want to have one oral defense, and then we just finish it. And so if your advisor thinks you are qualified for the oral defense, then that means you are ready and then you can have the oral defense. But if you fail, that means your advisor also fails, because your advisor supervise you and then say, hey, you can go for oral defense. But then the committee members say, hey, you are not doing well. Then that means your advisor is also responsible for that. So basically, if your advisor let you go for the oral defense, normally you will pass with the conditions. Everybody pass with the conditions. But just or you have to revise so much, or you just revise a little bit, that's the difference. Otherwise, nobody can say, hey, I walk out, I get graded. No, you just have to revise. But then, so if your advisor think you are qualified, then you just go for it, that's fine. And then basically, unless you have a very good relationship with your advisor, and then your advisor really want to fail you, and then, so then your advisor will just use the other committee members to fail you. So that is one possibility, but it's very rare unless you are really, you have a really bad relationship. Okay, so then, so don't worry about passing, but just you have to worry about whether you have to revise a lot after you pass your oral defense. So you hope that you can just submit the revised version to the school as soon as possible. But maybe sometimes your advisor will ask you to revise and revise after the oral defense. So you will take maybe another half year or 1 year to revise. And then your advisor will get the approval and say you can submit your revised version to the school. Then that is finished, officially finished. So oral defense is just a process. It doesn't say, oh, you can leave the school. Okay, like it really depends on how many things you have to revise after the oral defense. Okay, and then so firstly, when you decide your oral defense date, and then your advisor will talk to you about the committee members. So some advisors will talk to you and ask you, do you have any opinions about the committee members? For example, some professors who are working on this kind of studies. So you want to invite those professors to be your committee members. Then you can suggest your advisor, say, hey, I know these two guys and they are good at this topic. And then I think if your advisor asks you to do this, please provide them the names of the professor, because that is good for you. You probably will find your professor in the college or the professors you know. So then they will be good for you. So, and then otherwise your advisors will try to find his or her friends. And normally, if he or she would like to make sure you can graduate, you can pass, then they will find some good friends, because otherwise, it's beyond the control. So this is another thing. So the committee members are normally found by the committee members, by the advisors, or suggested by you. Okay, so this is the first thing. And then when you are making your oral defense, normally you have 25 minutes for presentation. So you have to make a very short summary of your thesis. So in 25 minutes, then you finish your presentation. And then your committee members will start to ask you questions or maybe just give you some comments. And then, for some questions you may not be able to answer, then your advisor, if your advisor is nice enough, then your advisor will help you defend it. Otherwise, your advisor will just ask you to answer the questions to those committee members. Okay, and then so mostly I think they give you the comments, and then you can revise your thesis based on that comments. Okay, so as long as you can go for that process, don't worry, you will pass normally. And then you just have to revise it after the oral defense. Okay, so this is for, and then do you have to prepare for the desserts or the coffee or something? That is not required. That is not required. But then for Taiwanese students, normally they would prepare for it because this is a tradition. This because the committee members have to sit there and then listen to your, research, and so you just want to keep them awake and also maybe let them feel like they are respected. Okay, so you can prepare for that. But if you don't, for some international students, they think in my culture we don't have that, so they don't prepare for it. That is okay. Okay, so it's not required. So just to give you the idea, this is not required. Okay, and then for the first year students, now you would like to find the advisors. Later, I asked Grace summarize the specialties of each professor, like what kind of research they are working on. So you can try to look at their specialties, their fields, and then you can see whether that fits your interest or not. And then before you want to go to talk to the advisor or the possible advisors, be prepared for it. Don't just go there and say, Professor, I want you to be my advisor. Or, then they will ask you what you want to do. Then you have to say something. You say, oh, I'm okay with everything. then that's out. So basically, you just have to think about what kind of potential topic you would like to do. And it really depends on whether you want to have the quantitative studies or the qualitative studies. For the quantitative studies, the data is the most important thing. Okay, so you think about a very beautiful topic and very interesting topic, but then you realize that you won't be able to find any data. Then that kind of topic is not doable. Okay, so one way to do this is to find the data first. So when I was in Michigan, my advisor told me, if you would like to do the quantitative analysis, data is the most important thing. So you can start from the data. So you just go to check different kind of data. For example, you like to do some studies related to OECD. Then OECD organization has a very good data set. So you can go there to check what kind of informations are provided in that data set. And then you can start to think about whether I can use that data set to do some research. Okay, and then you have the data, then everything is fine because data is the most important thing. But the second way is to read some literature and then see what kind of topics the previous people have done. And maybe you find, okay, this paper has some kind of problems, or maybe this paper is using American data, but I would like to use the Taiwanese data. So then I can talk to my advisor and say, hey, I would like to follow this topic, but I would like to use Taiwan data to do it. Or, okay, then your advisor will tell you whether it's okay or not. So firstly, you have to give your potential advisors some kind of good impression. You are prepared for it. Otherwise, you basically just go there and say, I want you to be my advisor. Then, normally the professor may say, oh, okay, if he knows you very well. Otherwise, he will say, hey, please go back to think about a topic and then come back again. Okay, so just try to find an advisor, but before you go, you just have to prepare yourself for the potential topics. Okay, and then I will let the Professor Say also talk about quantitative studies.
So I think just to supplement on, I think some of you may be interested to do qualitative studies as well. The majority, I think, may go for quantitative, and that is the trend of the American journals nowadays. However, if you look at the European journals, actually the trend is moving towards qualitative. And then I think the biggest difference in between is that when quantitative study, they try to look for norms, try to identify a kind of patterns, relationship between different constructs or between the significant relationship between factors. On the other hand, qualitative studies will try to go deeper into the context itself. So if you are interested to explore or understand more about a new phenomenon, something new knowledge, which nobody has done that before, or because of some special timing. For instance, if you want to study the impact of COVID-19 on self-learning, during the 3 years of lockdown, a lot of us we try to have different ways of learning with a particular time, particular culture. That is a very good topic for qualitative. The context is most important if you want to go for qualitative research. And I personally enjoy that very much. I think it actually gives me a good chance to look into a special phenomena in a deeper way. And then you explore it without any limits. And of course, my advice to you in finding a new topic is that try to get something which yourself feel strong interest in it. Because it's a long process, at least about 6 months, right? You have to work with the topic for at least 6 months. So try to find something that you personally, are interested or passionate about it. Don't try to get, whatever your advisor told you to do. That is my personal advice. Try to get something which you feel interested and that may be relevant to your future career. Okay. And then second is that also the data is also important. Even if you are going for qualitative research, the data is still important. So by talking about data, in qualitative research, normally we are working on either case study, or for master, for graduate school, you can go for case study. So with case study, at least you need to have some secondary data about a particular company that you would like to look for. So secondary data comes from press, media, comes from their annual report if it is a public listed company. For instance, one of my previous students, she worked, she wanted to understand more about TSMC and how TSMC are implementing their offshore strategy. Okay, so for TSMC, it's comparatively easy because there are a lot of open data and public data as a public listed company. But at the same time, you will have to go deep, right? As I said. So she also conducted interviews with 3 kind of insiders, right? You have to find somebody inside that particular company or organization that are willing to take your interview. And with that, of course, you can ask your advisors for some help. You can try to leverage on your network, for some help. So the data, as I mentioned, secondary data, or direct interview with potential, informants. So that is also important. So when you are interested about a topic, try to also think about whether it's feasible for you to get the source of either interview or secondary data. That is also important. All right. So mainly we are using a methodology like case study or interview, or grounded theory approach, which is a more systematic approach. I may have another course next semester to talk about different methods about qualitative research. And I think that's it. So the context is important. When I say context again, time, something happened in a particular time frame, like what I mentioned earlier, like COVID-19, the impact of COVID-19 on maybe digital transformation of a company. That is a very good topic. Yeah, you want to explore more, you want to understand more, and culture. As you are in Taiwan, actually there are a lot of good topics that you can work for in terms of culture. For instance, Taiwanese leadership, they are strongly influenced by Confucianism. So if you want to look at how Confucius' style of leadership, the relationship, the impact of Confucius' leadership on business sustainability, which is a very heated topic now, that could be another good topic for you to explore. And lastly, to look for topic, the literature review always help. Look for literature review and read the future studies part, which is the last section. Go to the last section of literature review. So you read the journal, of course, you read the abstract, you read the conclusion, and look for the future studies. Normally, the researchers advise, what are the potential future studies, and that could give you a lot of ideas. But again, most important thing is that try to get something that you personally feel interested to do and that you feel passionate. All right? That's my 2 cents. Okay.
Thank you. I think all the insights are really valuable. Let's see if they have my presentation. If not, I can right here. In my case, I graduated in the third year because I had to come back to my country for some issues. So, but indeed, the process started in my second year, and I had to, we can say, convince the advisor. Okay, I make a good presentation just for him, show him why I want to research that topic, what is the knowledge I am looking for, and where was everything headed. So he liked it at that time, and after 1 year, I keep working in that direction. So after 200 papers I read and 50 books from classic economy, modern economy, even Marxist economy, all the theories, I could graduate. There was quantitative, there was no qualitative. So I know also qualitative is really challenging, but that doesn't mean quantitative is not challenging either. If you don't like to read, so you have a warning there. So we're gonna see some hints that I prepared for you because I have some friends in China as well. They have been asking me about specifically how to improve their process in their thesis. So that's why I recorded this for them. And we have some goals, okay? First, we need to be clear about the goals. We're gonna check it. Challenges, what tools can be useful for, let's say, successfully overthrow the challenges, and then some questions, okay? Basically, we need to be clear what is our goal, right? Everyone say, oh, graduate. Okay, my goal is graduate. Are you sure? Are you sure? Before this, we have secondary goals. It's made the thesis. But before the thesis, we have other things. It's to learn. We need to learn first. Because if you don't know about your thesis, the topic, your field, it's gonna be difficult trying to make the thesis just with the knowledge you bring from home or from your previous experiences. So what I'm trying to say is like, all we came here is to break that barrier from our current capacity to the next level. So basically the thesis is that barrier that if we don't cross from our current state, we're never gonna accomplish. So to do that, we need to understand certain drivers. We're gonna check later in the tools. So the main goal to know how to do the thesis for you first in your first year as a student is start reading as a crazy person to know what you need to know, to understand the topic and to comprehend all the theories, at least 2-3 theories minimum, if not all of them, and the historic process about that specific field. Imagine your topic is this point, and this is your field. So you're trying to just talk about this point without understand the whole picture. So it's not doable. You're gonna start shooting, and then the professor will say, what is this? So it doesn't make sense. So the thing is like you need to understand the field itself. So that means you need to read extra papers, not directly related to the topic. It's related to the field you're studying. In that order, you will comprehend the whole picture. That's one insight, right? Some phrase. Okay. So this is the goal. We talk about it. To know what? The field, right? To understand where is your topic located in the field, and then to comprehend which theories right now and history process are in current discussion, we can say. Current discussion or previous discussion. And then all that gonna take you to learn, actually. Yeah? And the challenge is gonna be biased resources, and you need to try to read and understand. And there's something called known unknowns, that is like, I know I want to study this topic, but I don't know what I need to study this. I don't know the surrounding points I need to study. So you just know your topic. So that's a known unknown. And then you have something called unknowns unknowns. So how you gonna know what you don't know that you need to know? It's reading, is reading in the surrounding areas. You say, oh, I didn't know, I need to know this in order to write this, and then to comprehend this or to explain this. Okay? All these are the challenges. And no expected results can drive you to, we can say, desperation, frustration, and you need to be like, find counseling. I have a moment, I talked with Jai when I want to give up, and he gave me the second hand and push, and I keep going, and I did it. So you need to be like close with your friends, psychology, wherever, and understand it's like nobody's against you, okay? The school is not against you, the professor, the advisor, the staff. So if your thesis or your results in your data set doesn't work, it's not personal. Doesn't work, it's because it doesn't work. Nobody is against you, okay? And this is try to don't give up and restart, okay? Don't give up and restart. Okay? That's a misspelling, okay? Whatever. So the tools to conquer the challenge. First, we have something called serendipity. Okay, who knows what it means? Who knows the meaning of it? Who knows? Are you sure? Okay. For example, I'm going to explain you an example. You go to a Halloween party, okay? And in that Halloween party, you start talking with the people that randomly are there. And then you have a specific interesting in, I don't know, art. And you find someone who loves art. Oh, you start talking, and then you date and whatever. So that's a coincidence, because you are in a random situation where you don't expect certain, you say, conclusions, okay, or results. So how you apply this in the academic field? For example, you try to go here, so you just read papers about that. Just read paper about this field. So serendipity is to find something you are not looking for in some place, somewhere else, okay? For example, this is economic, let's say, of this market. So you start reading all the paper about, I don't know, anthropology. Close enough, okay? But not directly related. Close enough, but not directly related. So you can read a paper or listen to a podcast or watch a biography, and suddenly in that content, you're gonna find, oh, things that are related to your topic. Or maybe you are stuck the blank paper and you don't know how to continue that chapter. So you pull out yourself of this focus view and trying to find resources in other fields, in other content, even not related to academic paper. It can be books, not related books, and then you're reading something and they talk about something, some key driver that's gonna help you to continue and say, oh, okay, I get this. And you can transpolate that topic to your topic, and then you can keep going, okay? Second, well, comprehension, we'll talk about that. The resources to apply the first one, as I say, can be, for example, as crazy as it sounds, podcasts. I was listening a podcast about this girl who likes to, she don't like, it's her job. She prepared deaf people before they gonna bury. She was, this topic not related to economic, not related, I talk about cryptocurrency, not related at all, but she she talked about some techniques and steps that make sense in that field. And then I searched papers about that, and there's some homologation from that thing in the other. And it's like, oh, you find from unexpected resource. Okay? So with the books, papers, podcasts, and as much as you like. Then we have construct the scheme. What is this about? What I did was before showed my advisor what I had, I start working in the unknowns, all that, and I make a list. Okay? Now you read as a crazy and you have all random knowledge in different locations in your mind. So you make a list and start write it down point by point, and then you're gonna find certain logical. And so what you put this random list, we can call it like you are building a random list. So then you're gonna construct the content, okay? And I'm gonna make the scheme more with the guidance. Just trying to put everything, but not go directly to write. Just make the titles, all the structure, the subtitles, the chapter, that all fix to the guidelines. When you have all that, you say, Professor, what do you think I have planned to write this? You don't have anything, but you have all the chapters of your thesis, all finished. And say, oh, looks good, but this chapter not gonna help you. Try this other. Oh, this theory not gonna help you. Try this other. Or you need to include 3 more things. Or you are in this content to say, oh, here you talk about gains, right? But you didn't say about. Now we're talking about the content. You say all I was explaining was the context to reach the content. So now in the context, oh, the professor can say, you talk about Keynes, but you didn't say he tried to make a Bancor, okay? So, oh, I talk about theory, but I didn't say a proposal. So historical process, something. So now I can modify the content and submit with him again. And when I say yes, working that, in that moment you start writing. Because you have the guy, your own content guide. With the topic, with the theme, with the abstract, all that. That was the previous thing I was saying. Okay, now going more specific. Just with this, you're unable to go. Just with this, you can write a thesis. Okay, this is more literary review, just some specific things. You might find in a situation you are biased and you don't know. Everyone eventually will find out. If you want to be an academic master or PhD, you need to reevaluate your own. So you have your theory when you came. You need to challenge your own theories, okay? You need to challenge what you consider is the absolute truth. There's no absolute truth. So then you go, you find second theory, or maybe 3, 4, 5, and so what you're gonna do? You're gonna go just with one because it's the one that fits to the data set or the results you want, and you're gonna ignore what you find. You're gonna do that because you are biased. Okay? So what you need to do is reconcile these 2 approaches and understand and how you're gonna position these 2 approaches in the real life. Okay? With some let me find here. For example, you find out that theory number 1 is aligned with reality and history. Okay? Okay, let's say it's okay. The number 2 is not that aligned. Okay? But you need to explain it somehow, because if not, this guy doesn't know. You need to explain how this is not correlated with the reality and history. And then the 3. So then, in your literary review, you mention it. You mention it and you explain it, And that way, now you can say, I not be biased because I already mentioned this happened, and this and this and this, and with the other one, we have these other results, okay? Somehow you figure it out. As a reality, I want to say political events, economic shocks, or social developments and changes. Okay, that's basically what I'm trying to say. That's it. Thank you. Question? Thank you.
Let me share something with you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, like Christian, when he, I think he proposed to have the oral defense. And I think at that time, he thought that he was kind of ready, and then but when he talked to the advisor, and then the advisor think maybe his direction is not exactly what the professor is looking for. And so when I knew it, and then I talked to Christians and I asked him to send me his thesis. And then I actually read it, and I found, wow, he has done so many things. He read a lot of papers, articles, and so on. So for that part, it's perfectly, it's perfect. But then now the problem is like, because he did not have too many contacts with the professors. And so when he finished his thesis, and then he thought he did a very good job. And then, but from the professor point of view, I don't even know what you are doing. And maybe I want this direction, but you provide me a lot of things. And so I want you to restructure it. So then, and I read his thesis, and then I also gave you some suggestions, and then asked him to talk to the professor. And then so he knew what professor wants, and then he tried to take out something and then maybe add something. And then afterwards, the professor is satisfied about this, and then he went for the oral defense. So this experience tells us, you have to keep contact with your advisor. Don't just work on the topic and then by yourself, and then you think you are doing a very good job. But then it turns out that your professor doesn't want you to do this, and he wants you to do something else. So just have more
Balance.
Yeah, balance.
Yeah.
And then otherwise you will find like you spend so much time and you feel like you devoted your time, and then your professor doesn't like it, then you feel frustrated. And then so just keep just showing your professor advisors your outcomes just frequently and maybe regularly, and then okay, what kind of feedbacks your advisor has, and then you can save your time. Don't waste too much time on doing something your professor doesn't want you to do.
100%.
So he mentioned that before.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, 100%. That's why I need to present to him that when I came with this topic, I came with this content. What do you think? I said, no, because if you already write, it's too much. But if you just present the list of contents and when you try to go ahead, together can decide where is the best for your thesis. And that's it. Thank you. Any other questions?
We'll open the floor at the end. Maybe you
Okay.
have some questions.
Thank you.
My name is Carol, and it's my pleasure to share my authentic experience working on thesis as an alumni of IMES. And I just graduated in August this year, so I hope that there is no big differences between us. And the difficulties that we face with are significantly similar, which could boost your confidence level. And my sharing will be divided into 3 parts. And first one will be the time issue that I think that the majority of you are concerned currently. And the second part, I will focus on research. And the last part will be my mindset on working on thesis, and even that after the thesis oral defense. Okay, let's go to the first part. I think I'm not a quite normal role model for you, but I can give you my heartfelt suggestion for you. Yeah, my suggestion is that starting to write your thesis sooner rather than later. Take me for an example. I had handed my thesis progress in the first semester of second year, because after confirming my advisor and thesis topic and methodology and expected result, I started to do different things during my thesis. During my student life, for example, I took a lot of courses in the College of Commerce and do a lot of things not related to the thesis. So I conduct my thesis intensively in the next semester. But in reality, the progress is not conducted smoothly as I imagined, because there are a lot of inevitable issues happened. Like, for example, you would like to adjust to professor's schedule. For example, one of my co-advisor, Professor Jack, he needs to go abroad for teaching. So we adjust our thesis defense dates earlier than the original one. But I appreciate that Professor Jack encouraged me a lot so that I could conduct it in time. And yeah, and that's the first part. To write it down, the output during the progress and after accompanying with their professors. I think it could like decrease a lot of your burden in the future. And the second part is the quantitative research. I think two professors and Christian have mentioned a lot of details, and I would like to resonate with them by adding additional information. And the first one is that I would like to dispel or break the rumors for the students who would like to conduct the quantitative research, because some of my classmates say that you won't put so much effort on literature review if you would like to conduct quantitative research. And my misconception was dispelled by one of my advisor, Professor Wu, because during when you refer to different literature and you can get the insight from them, like whether they will use that kind of methodology in that kind of situation, and you can which part you could apply into your thesis, or kind of part that you can improve them to the better way. And I think I really gained a lot during the literature review part, and more reference you refer to, and the better quality of your thesis would be for sure. And that part will be the mindset. For me, even after the thesis oral defense, I still spend a lot of time refining my thesis. I think this is not just for the score for the transcript. On my transcripts, I think it is also like my personal publication displayed in the library permanently, and I think it is also useful for your future if you like to develop your future in the academic field. The quality of the research is important for sure, but if you like to access the labor market like me, I think this quantitative research of the thesis format is also vital for us, because if you would like to apply for the position like data analyst or business analyst, you could also share your thesis defense slides as part of your portfolio, which could demonstrate your logic or your problem-solving capabilities, and what kind of scenario in your future work you can apply from your thesis contents. So I think yeah, that's what that's what I would like to say. Just to take your thesis seriously till the end. I think that's the important mindset from my experience. Okay, that's my sharing.
Can you tell us what your subject was?
My subject is that the modern house policy and housing pricing effect. Yeah, and the evidence from the Greater Metro Taipei area. Sorry, I could not memorize it clearly, but I just would like to research whether the housing policy is effective or not in Taiwan. Yeah. Because I suffer from the high housing rent, so I just would like to know whether this policy is good or not. Okay, is there any questions?
Can you share more about your defense experience? What is it like in the thesis defense?
During the thesis defense, I think the question raised from the thesis committee member are like you will familiar with that question because during you conduct your thesis, your advisors have had asked you before. So I think it's you won't be so worried about that because I think the advisors were responsible for the thesis procedures to make your quality of your research is good to pass the defense. And some of the questions from the committee member raised is that I didn't think of before, but after that I still to do some of the supplement from the question. Yeah, for example, he raised the question that whether I add the variable of macroeconomics as a control variable in my research, and I didn't do that. But after I read another reference, and the reference said that the macroeconomic variable won't affect the housing price in the short term. So I just put these kind of research results into my research part to tell them why that I didn't put the macroeconomic variable in that. Yeah, and I think it won't happen that you need to modify a lot your research results. Yeah, because it's just a little bit modification on your description or your reference to make it more complete. Yeah, it won't you need to change the methodology or something like that.
I would like to add one thing about these questions. During the oral defense, of course, those are outsiders. We hire some outside committee. You have to have one outside committee from other universities and one from inside. And then for some outsiders, so even insiders, they might ask you some questions which are beyond your capability. Or maybe those professors are not really familiar to your topics, but they just kind of come up that kind of questions or suggestions. And then after the oral defense, you have to sit down with your advisor and just talk about, okay, for these comments or for these questions, do I have to revise it or do I have to follow this kind of opinions? And then maybe your advisor will say, forget it, forget it. And so everything, forget it. And then so you just finish it. Or maybe your advisor will just choose some things you are able to do, and then you revise it. And then if it's beyond your ability, or maybe you have to take another year to finish it, then your advisor will say, don't worry, and then you can just write it in the future directions. Say, okay, in the future you can do that. So basically, that is something I would like to share with you. Like, your advisor is the key person. If he wants you to graduate, then everything's fine. After the oral defense, even you don't follow any comment from the outside committees, that's fine, as long as your advisor is willing to sign for you.
I have one more question about this. Like, in case of in the defense, and if they have questions that you cannot answer, or you don't have like the data to provide at that point, what is the best way to answer to somebody? We'll keep that in mind. That's a very good point.
I think I can help you with that one. As I had one external expert in game theory, another from NCCU expert in economic. I don't remember clearly, and my advisor, and the three make like 10 questions each. So I had my notebook. So I first write down all the questions because impossible to follow. So you listen carefully, write down the question, say thank you for the comment or the question, and then point by point you can go answer as much as you can. If you handle the whole picture, you will be able to do it. If not, as the professor said, and then you can ask them if it's clear enough or they have more questions. And then maybe in my case, they still have like 2 more questions. And I think the advisor was really excited for the topic and he answered for me. But I could answer, I knew the answer, but he was really excited for the topic. And he answered and they start discussing each other. So I just let them speak between them. And then after that they asked me to go outside and they deliberate your final score. Yeah, basically that was it.
I would like to add other parts. I think it is also effective that you rehearse your presentation before the thesis defense. Yeah, because I practice with my other friends and they give the different opinions, and I think that's really helped me before the thesis defense, because sometimes I really couldn't imagine what kind of a question they would raise, and some of the questions raised from my friends, it's really match or respond to the question that the mid member raised.
So for the first year students, do you have any questions? Like, because we mainly talk about the things which are still kind of far away from you. So like, what kind of questions do you have? Huh?
Do you have to choose your advisor the same semester you're terminating your business, or can you choose your advisor?
No, I mean, like, you can start to look for your advisors right now, but then normally the second semesters will be the best time for you to find the advisor, because you have taken some courses and you may know some professors, and then you can start to approach those professors. And you better decide your advisors before the end of the year. I mean, the end of the first year. And then you can start to work on it during the summer. But some students will find it later. But like if you really want to start it earlier, then you should find your advisor in the second semesters.
I would like to make a supplement. I think some of my classmates are lucky to find their advice in their first time when they inquire for their advisor. Like me, I asked a lot of professors, but I think I really gain a lot from their answering because when you find some professor who are expertise in that field, and you will give different opinions from his previous research. For example, when I talk to them, I know what physical capitalization is, so that helped me to know what's the importance of my literature review, and I could put that in my literature review in my thesis. Yes. And I think just be brave to ask different professors at NCCU. And I will write my proposal down before I ask the professor. Yes, because I think be well prepared for asking them is important. Yeah, in this part.
And then I asked Grace to list all the professors teaching for IMES and their specialties. But if the professor you are looking for is not on the list, that's fine. If you know some professor at NCCU would like to talk to those professors, that's fine. It's not necessary to be on the list. So you can just find some other professors. But if you want to find the one outside the NCCU, you have to get the approval. So unless this professor is a joint professor with the program.
But if the professor is outside of IMES but within NCCU, we don't need.
Yeah, no, you don't.
The second year they have more questions. One of the questions from the students, because we have them submit some questions beforehand, is that does our quantitative research, does our result have to be statistically significant?
Okay. Like when you are working on the quantitative research, sometimes you think the statistically significance is very important, but in fact it's not true. Like you have something to test. For example, you say, oh, this factor is going to affect this one. That is your hypothesis. But then it turns out it's not significant. So that means you reject that kind of hypothesis, and then you say, oh, this is not important. So that is your finding. So it's not like, okay, if it's not significant, then, oh, I'm going with that. Like the professor will say, hey, you are not going to pass. No, you just say, because the evidence shows that this is not significant. So that means this factor is not that important. Maybe that supports your hypothesis or something. So significance or not significant, that is not really important issues.
And then another question is like, I have my outcome variable data set, I have my treatment variable data set, but it's kind of difficult to get control variable data set. Is that gonna be a barrier hindrance?
Like this happens all the time. Like maybe you want to control some variables, but you don't have the data. Then you just have to be frank. And you just say, I cannot find that kind of data. So when you look at my outcomes, you have to take that into consideration, because I did not really control certain variables, so that might cause this kind of results. So when you read my results, this is under this kind of situation. So you just have to say it, and then that's fine, because data restrictions is everywhere. You cannot just find the data, all the data you want. So you just let them know, okay, I have this kind of data constraint, and then so when I have these results, maybe that is caused by this kind of data constraint. And so you can see like a lot of famous papers, they also have to deal with this kind of issues.
It's similar in quantitative. I write it down. There's my thesis was feasibility of a global cryptocurrency. So the constraint was military analysis. So I explained that. Is that in the case of quantitative also there are constraints. Yeah.
Questions? Maybe to professors. Oh yeah.
To hear.
Sal.
I want to ask, what is the maximum unit for Turnitin test for thesis making?
Turnitin for the plagiarism. How much is the maximum?
The test checker is have to be below 14 or 15%. Less than that. Less than that. Yeah. Important, remember the ethical exam take a while. Trying to
Research ethics course, right?
yeah, try to that take to start earlier, at least at the beginning of the second semester of the second year.
Does everybody remember what the
Take a while.
research ethics course that you have to
Is
do online on the MOE
is
website?
a lot of content in that. Yeah.
It's necessary to have classes in Taiwan. You have to. Otherwise, even if you pass your thesis, you will not get your master's.
Yeah.
For the page requirements, it really depends on your advisor. And then for the quantitative research, normally you want to have at least around like 50 pages or above. And then if it's a theoretical one, then that might be a little bit shorter. So it really depends on what kind of subjects you're working on.
In NCCU, they have 10,000 words minimum for the whole.
10,000 words.
10,000 words, yes.
The layout is also there. This is layout.
Fonts and font size. I want to ask, like, is there any occasion where your direction and your advisor direction might not go the same way, and how do we tackle that?
Yeah, like if originally you find one professor and then you find both of you do not agree on some topics you want to do, then you can change your advisor. Okay, because it is kind of, this is a mutual thing. Maybe your advisor doesn't want to supervise you as too. Yeah, so and once you get the approval signature from your advisor, like say, oh, I promise to be your advisor, then that's a promise, that's a guarantee. But if you want to change later, then you should let that professor know and maybe get some approval and say, oh, please understand, like, I would like to change the topic, and then maybe I will find a new advisor. I think that happens, so don't worry.
I have a question from both of you who have been advisors before. Is there any specific pattern that you can see as advisors that will be a mistake or that will make the student lose a lot of time, or some common mistakes that they do that should be avoided? I don't know, like choosing a very broad data set or something, maybe a subject that is too large and not specific enough.
I mean, like, in order to avoid that kind of things happen, just meet your advisor frequently. Because we often, like, receive the students' thesis writing, and they already finished probably 80%. and then you find like, oh, they are not on the right track, then, you know, the students just waste the time. So, you know, like you just have to show your thoughts to your advisors, you know, frequently, and then maybe, you know, they will give you a right direction, then you can avoid making that kind of mistakes. Yeah.
How frequently would you recommend checking in? Like, if it's not 80%, like, is there like a level of frequency that you would recommend?
Yeah, for example, like firstly, you can write an outline of your thesis and then show it to your advisor. And then every time when you are finished maybe one section or one chapter, then you just go to your advisor and see if there is anything I need to change or like something like that. Otherwise, maybe your direction is totally wrong, but then you just continue to write, and then afterwards you have to delete everything and then rewrite it again.
Okay,
So,
yes.
and also like maybe for the second year in the first semester, you should start to meet with your advisors, like maybe at least once a month or like, you know, 2 months. But then, you know, like for the second semesters, then you have to go to your advisors more frequently.
Okay.
Because in that case, you can avoid, you know, spending too much time like on something not necessary.
Okay, sounds good.
You guys have any more questions? Thank you, Professor. We're going to share the slides and some answers to your questions.
So with what you're saying, I've heard other people suggest that, oh, I haven't gotten that far along, they would want to push it back by another 6 months or a year. Is that a complicated process? Would you ever recommend someone do that?
You mean like
To not get your thesis done in 2 years?
yeah, now like lots of people do that.
Mm-hmm.
And also like if you want to go abroad for exchange, for example, then normally you just keep your student status. And then also I think you can have like how many semesters off? Like you don't 4 semesters. So like if you have finished your credits, but then you haven't finished your thesis, then you want to just write your thesis at home. For example, you want to go back your country to write a thesis, and then for that semester you can just kind of apply for the suspensions from the school. And normally you can have like four semesters. You can do that. So the maximum will be 4 years. The total 4 years. So like including the first 2 years and then another 2 years, 4 semesters. So totally you can have 4 years, right?
4 years.
And 4 years.
Yes, for registered for
Registered for 4 years.
4 years.
And then another 2 years for
2 years, yes.
suspension. So you can have suspension 2 years, and then you register for 4 years. And so total is 6 years, but that will be your maximum. If you don't finish it, you are out.
Okay. Anything else about the guidelines?
I think it's 4 within the suspension process because IMES is in that
Or 4
situation.
including
Yeah.
suspension?
Yeah.
But because we did have students who are like 5th or 6th.
Okay. Okay. So maybe it's doable.
But you know, like I think that technically speaking, you know, they
Try
can
to
do
be.
that. So they register and then they drop, and then they register and then
Oh, yeah.
But then another 2 years suspension. So like, but you have to pay the money.
The tuition fee.
So for people who want to study abroad, do you suggest that they finish the thesis first and then go back, or
You know, like right now, I have 2 students from public finance. They are exchange students in Germany and in Belgium, and they have finished their oral defense, but they haven't submitted their revised version to school. So they applied for living for 1 semester. So they will go abroad, and then after they finish their exchange, they come back, they submit their revised version to school, then they graduate.